Well, elsewhere, 3 people have been killed and at least 2 injured in the latest attack by Houthi rebels on a merchant ship that they say was traveling to Israel. Video released by the Iran-backed group shows the vessel, Eternity Sea, being hit by ballistic missiles before sinking into the Red Sea, an act that the Houthis claim is a protest against Israel's war in Gaza. According to an EU naval task force, 19 people that were aboard the ship are still missing, with 6 rescued. It is the second such attack in a week by the Yemen-based group, with the Houthis claiming they also sank the ship, the Magic Seas. Let's get more from journalist Karim El-Gawhary. He joins us from Cairo. Karim, the Houthi rebels seem to be intensifying their attacks now. What's behind it?
Well, we had also a Houthi missile that was shot towards Israel's Ben Gurion airport and was intercepted. And we have these 2 attacks you mentioned in your report. One attack on a ship called Eternity Sea. There were 25 crew members on board. It was attacked by small boats that fired rocket-propelled grenade on it and made immobile and then later sank. 10 crew members who were rescued by now. At least 3 others are confirmed dead. And the Houthi military spokesman says that they have taken an unspecified number of crew members, bringing them to a safe location. It is believed that 6 crew members are in the hand of the Houthis. The Houthis are saying that this ship was heading towards Israel. And that's why what the reason they attacked it. And the second boat they attacked is also run by a company that is, the Houthis say, known for its dealings with Israeli ports. Also, this ship was blown up. And so we have an increased attack. Since May, actually, there was a ceasefire between the US and the Houthis. They were saying they will not attack US and UK boats, but they didn't commit to not attacking boats that are heading to Israel. And that's happening right now in an increased manner.
How is a potential ceasefire, which is being discussed right now in Qatar, how is that likely to affect actually these attacks from the Houthis?
Well, I think it's totally essential because the Houthis are always saying if there is a ceasefire, we will stop the attacks in the Red Sea. And I think the reason why we have now increased attacks in the last days is because it's a mean to put pressure on Israel while we have right now ceasefire negotiations in Qatar that are somehow stuck also because Israel is not agreeing to some of the Hamas demands of committing to a permanent ceasefire, withdrawing the Israeli troops to a certain place, and also giving the UN again the mandate for the relief work in the Gaza Strip. So I think what we see in the Red Sea is one way to put pressure on Israel.
The attacks on ships, they're having a massive impact on global trade routes. The UN envoy for Yemen has voiced concern about the escalation. What could be done by the international community to protect the ships?
Well, the impact is massive. And for example, in the last days, insurance rates for ships going on these routes doubled. So that in itself is a big economic impact. The Suez Canal in this route, of course, is one of the main trade routes worldwide. I think it's difficult really to protect all this both by military means. So the essential thing is really what's going to happen with the ceasefire negotiations, the Gaza Strip. If they will be successful, that will probably mean an end to this attack on international shipping in the Red Sea.
Karim El-Gawhary, thank you.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in journalist Hannah Porter here. She's a Yemen and Houthi expert and joins me from London. Hannah, the Houthi rebels seem to be intensifying their attacks now. What's behind that?
So they are indeed intensifying. These 2 attacks are a severe escalation, especially since we haven't seen any notable attacks from them since November of last year. However, I think it's important to note that the Houthis never committed to ceasing their attacks entirely. They always emphasized that ships that were connected to Israel in some way would still be, for them, legitimate targets. And I think we're seeing that playing out now. It really does call into question the effects of the US Houthi ceasefire that we saw earlier this year. Of course, Israel was continuing to be targeted during this period, and now the Houthis are re-upping their anti-shipping attacks. The important question is why now? Why are they doing this at this point? I think that they were given the opportunity to regroup somewhat after they were given a break from the very intense US airstrikes on some of their infrastructure. Also, there could be a component that Iran is trying to give a show of force after the 12-day war, and certainly the Houthis showing in a very serious way how they have the capacity to attack and sink ships and even cause casualties in the Red Sea is a clear message that the Houthis and the so-called axis of resistance are not going anywhere.
Now, the Houthis also said that they fired a missile at Israel earlier today. There's been at least one report that Israel indeed intercepted a missile. If a ceasefire is reached between Israel and Hamas, can we expect the Houthi attacks to end?
I would not expect that. I think that it would be likely that there would be a pause. But if you really pay attention to what the Houthis say, what they're claiming their end goal is, it's not just a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. It's not just an end of Israel's attacks on Gaza. It's actually the end of the occupation entirely. And ultimately, the Houthis are very clear they don't want Israel to exist at all. Now, I'm not saying that that will be the end game for them and a realistic goal, but they are certainly not expecting that they will cease all attacks or stop opposing Israel as long as there's a ceasefire. In fact, it has long been their goal, well before 2023, to fight directly with Israel and to battle Israel. And so now I think they feel a real sense of achievement that they can credibly argue that they are at war with Israel.
These attacks by the Houthis on ships are having a massive impact on global trade routes. It's extremely expensive and difficult now to move certain goods through to certain destinations. The UN envoy for Yemen has voiced concern about escalation. What more could the international community be doing to protect shipping in the Red Sea?
Well, they certainly need to up their ability to guide vessels through Bab el-Mandeb, which is the really critical point along the Red Sea where we're seeing a lot of these attacks. I think that an increased presence could potentially deter the Houthis or at least impact the effectiveness of these attacks. But really, the only solution is a long-term strategy in Yemen. And I think that's really what the international community has been lacking for over a decade now. There's just been this kind of reactive dealing with the Houthis where they commit an act that is unacceptable, such as targeting shipping, and then we react and assume, oh, it's been resolved, so we can back off, but then it just starts up again. So we need long-term thinking in Yemen in terms of stabilization, in terms of empowering legitimate authorities, in terms of countering the Houthis wherever that is possible. And it's going to be a lot of hard work, and it's not something that we're going to accomplish within a short period of time.
Hannah, thank you very much for your analysis there. That was Hannah Porter, journalist in London.
Thank you.